So I got together with some of my filmmaking. So I got together with some of my filmmaking. Words! Don't be freaked out. This is just the intro. The whole video is me talking in the car. Sometimes I'll be looking at a trailer and I'll get tingles all over my body. And even if I hadn't wanted to see the movie when the trailer first came on, now my body's like, I want to see. And then other times a trailer will come on that looks really good and I'm really excited to see the movie, but I don't get tingles. It just doesn't affect my body on a visceral level. For whatever reason, I thought about what are those reasons? Why? What makes the difference? What makes a good trailer? So I went online and I Googled anatomy of a trailer. Well, turns out Google thought that I meant anatomy of a murder, because it popped up this movie called Anatomy of a Murder, well, the trailer for it. But it wasn't actually a trailer. It was just a scene from the movie. And I was watching the scene and I was like, this scene is amazing. I got together with some of my filmmaking friends, 2 of them, and we're gonna break this scene down for you. And so you're all caught up with everything we're doing. The next thing you're gonna see is the scene from the movie that started this whole thing. Up next, Anatomy of a Murder. I think I'll just cut that off and then go, right?
Good to see you, Polly.
How you feeling?
Fine. I guess you come from the soldier, boy.
Yeah, Sula, do you think it'd be all right if we talk in the sheriff's office?
Oh, sure, Polly, sure. I bring him down.
Would you mind taking your glasses off, Miss Mannion? Gee whiz, Barney Quill do that to you?
Mm-hmm. More than that. You should see all over.
Well, you can put it back on if it's more comfortable for you.
This is Polly Beagler. This is the buckle, Polly.
Tom Mannion? Oh, there.
Hi, Manny.
Well, Laura. Miss Mannion, I wonder if you could meet me down in my office about 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's 305 West Barnum.
Of course.
Fine.
Is there anything I can get you, hon?
I'm all right, huh? Right in here.
The first thing that I noticed was how easily the police guard guy just completely disregarded the woman. Like, just doesn't even pay any attention to her. It's almost like he doesn't even see her.
That's interesting.
And there's a moment where he kind of like halts in his step. She comes into the door and he goes to step, he sees her, and then he kind of like, and then he goes around her to talk to the guy. And for the whole scene, he never acknowledges her presence.
That's interesting.
Not once.
That's interesting you say that, because I think her character is basically about being seen by men. And so the fact that you're noticing like that subtle action is very interesting, because it means like it's almost like the director is subtly pointing out that it might be her that's really that really thinks that, because she's supposed to be this beautiful woman. Everybody sees her because she's this beautiful woman.
Or
Right?
it could be that the prison master is supposed to be above board, so he just has to tune out anything that he could be like distracted by. And he's just like narrow focus.
Yeah.
She doesn't exist.
And because everybody does that. Even the lawyer. I mean, she points out somewhere in the movie, hey, you know, you're attracted to me. He's like, yeah, but you're beautiful, and then moves on.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah,
And even
so it's like everybody in this orbit is not doing what she expects of men.
Well, I feel
So
like
that's
she's
interesting
really,
you pointed
like,
that out. I really
she's
like
playing
that.
the part. She knows.
Yeah.
She's beautiful. She's used to getting this attention. This is how she's able to have any kind of power in the world. But at the cost of, like, maybe not power, that's not the right word, but like the price of being seen is that she gets taken advantage of. She gets bullied,
Mm.
pushed around, victimized. And I thought it was really interesting too with the main character. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name, but the detective
Jimmy Stewart guy. Or-
Jimmy Stewart. So yeah, Jimmy Stewart's like, he's trying to treat her respectfully and like, I see you. I'm not playing the game that you're playing, but like I'm actually I'm here. And I recognize that you're playing the game. I know you're playing it, and it's appealing.
Yeah, like the scene when which I love their whole interaction together. Like, so let me just go by this a piece at a time, because the guard goes into the cell, or into where the prisoners are. Jimmy Stewart turns around, and as he turns, the woman has posted herself up at the window. Like she's just always a model. Like she's just always
Yes.
ready, right?
I am Instagram posing.
Yes, like in life. And so like,
Yeah.
and this is something else that I noticed, like you can even see her shadow posing. At exactly 11 seconds, you see the security guard, Jimmy Stewart, and then down in the corner, the shadow of the woman just like biting, like in this kind of, like biting her nail. So then the security guard goes into the cell. Jimmy Stewart turns around. She walks over to him. And there's a moment where they don't talk to each other. She's slowly walking towards him. He's not talking to her. She's not talking to him. But to your point, Marla, he's like, I know what she's doing. I know what she's doing, but I'm not going to play. Because he kind of like chuckles internally, looks down, and then looks back up at her. Which is indicative of like his whole inner monologue. It's like, I know what she's doing.
Yeah, because she's never
I'm
at
just
any
not going
point
for it.
leaving any space between in this frame. She does not allow anybody to,
Right.
she's always in somebody's space, which you'll see when
Mhm.
when her husband comes out. The first thing she does is stands in the middle of those two men.
Mhm.
She never leaves space.
Yes.
And this frame, I'm recording it, but it's the frame at 24 seconds in when he is looking down at her. That's a nice
Mhm.
triangular frame
Mm-hmm.
from the eye
Mm-hmm.
and the body
Mhm.
language. I'm just gonna draw it on here, and then you can take the footage later.
No. I'll throw it up. That's me throwing stuff up on the screen. I hope that I choose to actually put it there on the screen and not like beneath
That
it
would be
somewhere.
hilarious, though.
Because
You just go
I could
bing,
put
and
it
it
anywhere.
shows up right there. It's like it's like your magic powers are off, sir.
Thoroughly the opposite. But yeah, so there's this moment they aren't talking, and then he asks her to take off her shades. She does, and then he asks her if he mentioned some guy's name. Did so and so do this to you?
It's her husband.
No, that's the guy who raped her. That she mentioned.
Oh, I thought it was the
Okay.
same name as her husband.
No,
And I think that do they have like the same
no.
first name?
The plot
or something
is
like that?
that she was raped by that guy, and her husband shot him. And so the
Okay.
point of the whole movie is to prove is the anatomy of a murder,
Ah,
to
okay.
prove was he insane or was he justified in murdering this man for raping his
I
wife.
see.
And the fact that people don't believe her because she's this beautiful woman who dresses a certain way, so automatically she was asking
Mhm.
for it. That's the idea of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's what everybody's playing up to. But yeah,
Man, this is a deep movie.
it's a good movie. It's just long, but it's good. I dig it.
Wait, did you watch it again since he brought it
Yeah.
up?
Cause I own it.
Awesome.
I have it. So I was like, oh, well, let me watch that. And then I forgot that this scene was like the first 10 minutes of the movie. So I was like, oh, well,
Is it?
I'm done now.
That's the thing
Yeah,
I
it is,
was
like,
curious about.
Literally the first. Yeah, it's not deep in the movie at all. It's like the first.
Because it is very it's a scene that, like, if this was the first scene in the movie, I would understand all three of these main characters. Like, I get it.
You should watch it because the first scenes in the movie are very interesting, are very telling of Jimmy Stewart's character. He is just, and I don't know how to explain it because it's all banter. It's just him living his life, doing what he's doing, and it's fantastic. It's just life, and then it's like rape case. You're like, whoa, okay, we're doing that. Cool. It's like completely pleasant guy goes into this crazy case, you know? He reminds me of like Andy Griffith doing like the, you know, like whatever that show was he was in. I'm interested.
Matlock. And
it reminded me a little bit of how it was shot because it's every single frame, almost every single frame of this movie is shot with a medium to a medium close. It never opens up the frame. Ever. It's crazy. Yeah, and it's claustrophobic almost.
No, I like.
Go ahead.
So my weakness as a filmmaker is that I hate to shoot wide shots. Like, I get into the details and then the details of the details and I get lost. And like, I forget that the audience has no idea what I'm talking about because I haven't set up the context. So like, this is something I have to consciously think about and deliberately bring into a film. So I'm always fascinated whenever somebody's like, oh, I'm just going to embrace that and we're going to make the whole film that way. And actually seeing how it feels.
There was
I think what he does to establish a shot without doing a complete wide is like he frames it in familiar ways because when you open up this scene, it's it's a jail. Yeah. Because you see the door. It doesn't establish we're at a jail. And I think probably one of the characters might have said, let's go to the jail, but I don't know. I can't tell you that. But it's a jail. Because the room looks very familiar, so you might not even have to do those wide establishing shots.
The beginning and the end of this shot are almost identical. Like, you begin with the opening to the jail.
The bookends.
You then halfway through get to like the second door, which is another door, and then you end on a door. Like,
which, by the way, I have to say I love a frame within a frame. I'm just like, oh.
Yep.
I love I love seeing people pose within other frames in the
and there's
canvas.
I'm skipping ahead, but like there's only one cut. There's only one cut, and the cut is to that like the third door, and then we like push in, and actually, so I don't know if this was like artistic. I heard it. It's a thing that you hear. You don't actually see it. This to me was super interesting. So I don't know if it means something, but like I got goosebumps when I heard it. So, and again we're skipping forward, so that's fine. But like, so after the three of them talk, the lady leaves. We cut to Jimmy Stewart and the husband going into the door. What happens? What we see is Jimmy Stewart opens the door. They both walk in, then Jimmy Stewart closes the door. What you hear, Jimmy Stewart opens the door, then another door opens. Jimmy Stewart closes the door, then another door closes. It's almost like
that's interesting.
We hear the wife waiting for as long as possible. And I don't know if they were like, just throw in some sound effects here and there. Or if that was intentional. But like, it's I heard it and I was like, oh, she was waiting for any last little thing. She wanted to hear any last little thing she could get. And then when she realized that the door was closed, that's when she left. I just thought that was an interesting audio thing that happens in the film. And I would be curious to see if stuff like that happens throughout the film. Like if they're little audio cues to character development. Because that's not a thing that you usually listen for. Like how they, you know.
Like somebody else is still in the room, and what are they doing?
Right.
And how does that play to the story? Because that's the extra level of like extra.
Right. And like I wasn't paying
interesting,
attention.
though.
I just heard it, and then I started paying attention. So, okay, let's hop back to this scene where he asks her if the guy did this to her, and she says, let me play it.
Yeah. You should see all over or something.
Right, that scene, like she like yes, and much more. You should see all over, and that moment for me, like it was so smooth on her part, just so smooth. He doesn't even address it. His face doesn't even change. It's like he hears it and he's like, yeah. She's doing that thing. All right, well, you can put your glasses back on if you're more comfortable.
Right. Yeah, and,
like,
and that little
play
look
that
on her
game, I'm
face
out.
at the end of
right,
it.
when she smiles.
Uh-huh. I was like, girl. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cause and it's kind of the look of
that look.
It's kind of
The Cheshire Cat.
kind of
Like you
well
get caught.
not even caught, but it's like I tried it, like I tried you, it didn't work. I'll try again later.
Game's not over.
Right, game's not over. It's like, yeah.
I can tell you're not engaging, but you're thinking about it.
Right.
I actually thought it was really interesting, kind of going back to her character arc. Like, her husband also kind of, he does the formalities of greeting her, but besides that, he does not engage with her at all.
Nope.
Like, she's facing him, here I am, open, straight on, and it's almost like he's ashamed to look at her.
Mm-hmm. Just scrubbing through, he only looks at her. Let's see. There's a moment when
Yeah, it's a slight moment.
Let's see. I'm trying to find because when Jimmy Stewart asked her to meet him at his office, he looks at Jimmy, then her, and then away.
Yeah.
And then other than that, only when, let's see, when she talks to him. And then she walks away, and then he glances at her again, and that's it. So he, and again, that's why this is such an interesting scene. Like, if this had been the first, and it is technically the first thing I ever saw of this, like, just to understand a character, and the first time you see him, you know everything he's about. Like, it's hard to do that. And in this scene,
it's showing you instead of just telling you.
Yeah, and this scene does that with every single person. Every person shows us who they are instead of her saying, you know, I'm the hottest girl, why won't you pay attention to me? And instead of the husband being like, I can't stand you, or I'm hurt by you, go away, he just won't look.
Won't engage.
He just won't engage.
I think the way that she's treated and interacts with all the cast really contrasts with James Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
So both of the men are genuinely happy to see James Stewart.
Yes.
Both of them. Like, there's that little glimmer in their eye and, like, respect.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a human and you add to society. And that kind of subtlety in how they greet him, where she absolutely does not get that from any man except James Stewart.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's true.
And I ultimately think that's why she plays the games that she plays.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really, like, better to be seen and just be seen as a beautiful woman than to not be seen at all.
Does anybody have any comments on the lighting? So I was interested in that because I it's like it's filmed like a film noir, but it's not really like there's no. It didn't really feel like there was.
It's a bright noir.
Noticeable lighting. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting throughout the scene. So when they first walk in the door, the shadows are very hard against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you see the woman posing, but it's not just her, it's everybody. But then you get into the room and all the shadows soften out. And then, so when they're next to the gate where her husband's being kept, the shadows there are just like blurred against the wall and you don't notice them. So, so like
that's true.
It definitely feels. I don't know if it's intentional.
They get away with that by putting Jimmy Stewart's body just slightly over someone else's body, so he casts a shadow on them.
Yeah.
Rounds it out.
Yeah, wherever he stands, he casts a slight shadow.
Big shoes to fill, huh? He influences everything.
Because I also found it interesting that her clothing almost blended with the background.
Yeah.
Like there's like everybody else is wearing a contrasting color to what the wall is, except for her. Even her hair just looks like everything other than the glasses that she's wearing.
Yes.
So I found it.
Yeah.
And even that's such a good call. Because it's such a good call because when it's the three of them standing in the shot together, she is contrasting the prison. Like that's the only time when she's contrasting anything.
Dang.
And the two of them are contrasting her because they're on opposite sides of the door and the white wall. But then she leaves.
In that,
then they're back into just for a second.
That's
the frame again.
That's genius.
That's an excellent point. She blends in. Man. She blends in with everything.
I'm like mad now. Yeah, I'm almost mad now because
this is why you gotta talk about these things. I didn't catch that.
It's genius. Because that blending into the background really does go to what Marla is talking about with her character and how she wants to be important, but nobody in the room is making her important. But she sort of has to make herself important by posing everywhere she goes or standing in between two characters or getting close to another character. And I'm just like, did this dude think of that? Like,
probably did. Because it's intentional, and I bet you.
See, it makes me mad because I would never. I would never think of that.
And I bet you, if we broke down the whole show of the whole movie, we would find this a consistent theme. And as characters change in however which way they do, I bet you the background, the lighting, their clothing, in some way, has a shift parallel to their movement. I bet you. I bet you.
Yeah, I think so.
Because this scene was too intentional for it to be accidental.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was. I did notice. Like as I'm like rewatching it, there's actually two cuts. The first cut is to show her husband when he enters, and then the second is back going into the sheriff's office.
Oh yes. My apologies.
I think both of those points are like punctuating. Yep. Here's somebody new. You've been waiting for him.
That's a good point. You're right. I made a mistake. I said that there wasn't only one. There are two.
Yeah.
It
seems like it when you first watch it, though.
Yeah,
it seems like it. I even had to go back to see if it was just one continuous shot. Because the cuts really make it look like the camera just doesn't stop filming.
It just flows.
And part of that is when they cut. Because they cut... So Jimmy Stewart turns, and there's only the hair's breadth of a moment after he turns, and then the door, and when the door opens, we cut to the door in process of being opened while someone's walking through it. So our eyes care less. It's different things now, and more like what am I looking at? What's going on? So it's a very crafty method.
Because it's like, there's like movement to movement. So he looks, he comes out, and it looks like the camera's just kind of catching all of that.
Well, it's double layered.
It's very intentional cutting.
It's double layered because it's movement to movement, but it's also like, okay, we want to see this now. We're like invested in the story. It's story motivated as well as camera motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, but that goes to show you 3 cuts in a scene that's like a minute and a half long. You don't see that kind of cutting anymore.
Oh no! Like it's every 2 seconds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
even
like cut. I like this cutting better.
Like,
I want to see. I would love to see how that looks on a timeline. so simple. Cut. We're done.
You know, we tend to get all like, here's our timeline. Like so many layers and so much complication, and maybe in all of it we're just so focused on all the noise that we lose the actual storytelling and like, why are we cutting?
Yep.
Why do we have 16 cameras? No, I literally saw that in a forum the other day. Somebody's like, it was 19 cameras. They shot on 19 cameras for a concert, and somebody's like, why didn't you just use 5?
19?
19!
For a concert.
For a concert. He's like, how am I ever going to edit this?
No, you're not. You're never going to edit it.
Yeah, I would just be like, I'm leaving those out, and I'm keeping these. Just
right.
These ones are actually good camera angles. Everything else is just enough.
That's too much. And someone gave them a budget to shoot with 19 cameras. Alright. I would love to make a movie like this, where it's just, where it's like almost everything is just so contained into one area.
Yeah, but understand, like,
just...
like, there's not a lot of dialogue.
No.
There's not a lot of there's equal parts dialogue, movement from the people and the camera. But what the majority of it is that inner dialogue, is that inner life. It's those intentions, it's those desires, it's those, like, who I am and how I relate to who you are. Mm-hmm. It's a ton of that. But it's not so much, like, not much happens. They walk in, she flirts, he doesn't take it. The husband comes out, she tries to get him something, he doesn't want it. He says, meet me in my office, she leaves, they go to the office. Like, that's not a lot of stuff. But,
no,
but for there to be so much feeling, and so much emotion, and so much, like the fact that we can talk for about an hour.
There's so much play.
Yes. On a yeah.
On a 1 minute scene.
On a 90-second scene.
Yeah. No, I thought it was also interesting, like, one more thing about her. When her husband comes out, she switches into perfect wife mode. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's this image that she's presenting, it's gotta be who she is.
So all different
She knows who she's playing and what to
like
do.
The husband doesn't say, I feel this way about you. He doesn't say, I'm hurt, or I feel abandoned, or I'm angry, or I'm sour at you. He just...
Or you were raped and now you're unclean to me.
Right. It doesn't... That isn't said, but we feel it. We feel it.
Yeah, there's like something going on between these two.
Right.
Secrets, almost as if he automatically knows what she was up to before he got into the room. Like, she's like flirty and not. And he's like, there she goes again.
Yeah, he knows her game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows. They all know. She's the only one who doesn't know they know.
That's true.
Yeah. And what plays in this the rest of the movie is her Catholic background.
Okay.
And how she gets raped, and the first thing that he makes her do is swear on a rosary.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is a rough movie.
Yeah, you gotta see the movie, man.
Rough.
I'm telling you. It's something. It has so many, but it doesn't feel like it has that. Because when I first got the movie, it's almost as if Alfred Hitchcock had directed it. It seems like an Alfred Hitchcock movie, but Hitchcock is so much more intentional with his language. Like, you know what he's doing with his language. The way he sets up the camera, the way people are blocked. But then you watch something like this, and it takes 3 people to look at it and go, what is it saying?
Oh.
You know?
I get you.
Yeah.
It's like subtly, like, I'm not coming out all flashy and you know that I'm up to something. I'm just gonna make it feel pretty normal and, like, nonchalant and, like, oh wait, there's layers within layers.
There are, because there is no camera angle in this that shows anyone has more power than anyone else. Like, he doesn't, because he could easily just film her at a high angle to diminish her more, but he doesn't. He uses the color of her clothing to blend into the background, the way people react to her. It's much more like we're observing everything that's happening instead of the camera telling you this is what you should observe. It's
even the level of the camera is all eye level.
And it's like that the whole movie.
For everybody.
The only time it changes the eye level is if the character changes eye level. So if somebody's looking out of a window,
like at
you're seeing it down. Or you're looking up because you're looking up at a window. And so that's the motivation of the camera. It's never, I personally want to say something with this camera angle, so I'm using this camera angle. It's like, what does the character say with it? Otherwise, we are just medium shot, eye level the entire movie.
You know, one more thing about the woman. So when she takes off her sunglasses, she has a line there. And that's the one line in the scene that really feels acted to me. It feels like it could be Marilyn Monroe, it could be any like leading female, kind of vanilla, a little bit baby. Like I'm not a grown adult. I'm going to talk a little bit like childish, innocence, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, because she is her words say, I have been bruised in many places on my body. And you ought to look because you're the lawyer or whatever. That's what her words say.
Do your job.
But her intention is to But her intention is to convey sexuality. Her intention is to convey you should take my clothes off because that would be fun. So she uses that stereotypical baby voice.
Yeah.
Because she is forcing innocence out of her mouth.
But the
but she is not using innocence with her mind.
Yeah. And that's
yeah.
It's good stuff, man.
So that's an excellent observation. I think we've just about gone through anything and everything. And if anything else comes to mind, we can always hop back on it. Right?
Guess.
Like a minute and a half. We went on this thing for near an hour. This is insane.
I'm just so I was excited because I really wanted to hear everybody's thoughts on this because I was like, there's so many things I'm missing. And this just really blew my mind. It's like, oh my goodness. Yeah, man.
You know, it's funny.
So,
even So one more observation. So as the woman,
Yeah.
that frame where it's Jimmy Stewart and her husband, and the woman's framed against the dark prison door, and she exits, and this is the only time in the scene where she becomes dark. She now contrasts with the background. She continues to contrast with the background. It doesn't stop there.
Yeah, and
She goes
does.
fully
She
in
goes
shadow
fully
and it's
in
against
shadow.
the white background. And
Yeah.
so she's continuing. She hasn't. She's still being seen somehow.
Major's mind is like boom,
Yes.
boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
He was just like yes.
It's so true.
See that motivates me to pick up a camera more than I think anything. It's just that simplicity, the simplicity of everything that scene represents. Just I'm like, I want to do that. How do I do
And,
that? And that's why I don't like
feel
it when
like-
people say you shouldn't break down movies. It's like,
You know,
no, you
Who
should.
says that?
I
You
think
should.
though that the
It
simplest.
should be an exercise. A lot of people say that. A lot of people say it. The reason they say it is because they go, you should not be influenced by other people.
No. The objective is that you know all the
that-
voices that are out there. You know all the tools that are out there, and then you're able to take. I think so. There's always the fear as an artist that you're gonna like. Why do I have something new to offer? Yeah, I'm gonna just copy. But if you look back to like the great painters of the day, they were all a commentary on what was happening. And like somebody would put in like this cat that's picked up from another picture, like it's directly referencing this other work and all the context of it, and then it's saying like, yeah, but have you thought about it this way? And so exactly, you have your
Right.
as long as you have your own
it's insane.
perspective, you're bringing it to an element for your own purposes. You're making it from scratch. You're not like, I'm gonna copy that. It's very, very different than referencing somebody and adding to the conversation.
Yeah, that's so true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I say that I go, if you were a musician and you listen to music, or you get sheet music and you analyze it, nobody would question it. But if you're a filmmaker and you analyze stuff like this, it's like, oh, well, that's not a
That's
good
absurd.
exercise. It's just,
I mean,
it is absurd. That's why,
How am I supposed to learn if I don't watch The Master?
man, I think I learned a lot. I did a film school in
well,
this
I
hour.
think the thing about this scene that's so amazing is it really is simple. Like, if you have a compelling script and story, you can put 3 people in a room and engage people on multiple levels. But it's the intention that you bring to it. It's the character development that you bring to it. It's all those hidden layers that don't cost any money.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. I think we should end on that note. All right, I think that's about it. We just had a lot of fun looking over this scene. It was simple. There was a lot in it. Listen, break the scene down yourself. Meet up with some of your friends. Talk about it. Look through all the different... If you find something that we missed, let us know.
Yes.
We're going to be doing this a lot more often, so if you see other scenes in other movies, or if it's a movie you saw years ago and you want us to break it down, send it in. We'll see if we can find it, see if we can break that down for you. Yeah, I think that's about it. We'll do this, you do that, and don't get caught by those bison and pantsuits. See you later. And cut.